welcome back to TJM. It's just been a little bit over 12 months since we purchased our Jaguar Series 3 sight unseen barn find. We only paid a couple of grand for it back then, and when we arrived it had probably a little bit more rust than what the owner described to me over the phone, plus a couple of blurry photos he sent me. Anyway, that's all good. It was initial rust, so it had no bog in it, which was a big plus when I got there. The car didn't go. It had rust under the windscreen. It had rust in both guards. It had a stack of rust in that sunroof. It had most of the panels had faded and needed paint. Plus there was a few little extra things we had to do to it. But the big question is, was it worth it? Well, I probably wouldn't have done that restoration except for my YouTube channel. So I think that was worth it. I've learned a lot more about V12 motor cars over the last 12 months, so that was all worth it. We're going to do a little bit more work on it today, and at the end of the video we're just going to add up what this car actually cost me and was it worth it. So stay with us. Thanks guys. Well, the old girl let me down again. I was coming up my street, coming up the hill, and she just died on me. Felt like fuel. I was in the middle of the road. I was in a really bad predicament. It was showing fuel on the fuel gauge, but she wouldn't start. I was 100 metres from home, so I walked up and I had some fuel in a can. I went down and put some fuel in it, and it still wouldn't start. Waited a few minutes, and miraculously it started, and I got up the hill, and here I am. Thank God, I'm back in the garage. Well, I could have had the vid going while I was down there. It was the last thing on my mind. All I wanted to get was to get out of that predicament. But I found out what the problem is. The old injector harness, she's pretty shot, and I think she's sorting out somewhere. I was trying to hold off on buying one because I've just put my King's Ransom into it. So, but now I have to go and buy it because I don't want to be stranded with the S3. And another thing which made the situation worse, that the flasher don't work on it. So that's priority. I'm going to try and fix that straight away and not take this thing out until I get a new engine harness at least. Wifey won't be happy. The paint shop, all these little electrical items weren't working. The mirrors are not going, but they're connected. I've checked them. No interior lights, no radio, all these things. And I'm guessing it's going to be, there's a little fuse box. It's the first time I've had a chance to check it. Down on the left hand side, the passenger side. There it is under there. And this is the one that holds. Come on little fella, get off there with one hand. Come on little fella, get off there you. Okay, now just looking at those, I can see that first one is definitely blown for a start. And that one is the, what's that say? Map, interior lights, clock, aerial, radio, door mirrors, door lights. So that's going to solve the majority of our problems in a quick fuse. Find a 15 amp somewhere. I'm sure there's one in here somewhere. Ah, that's better. What about the mirrors? Right, one's going. And left one's gone. Radio. Oh, aerial. Everything's working. Well, I bit the bullet and bought myself a new engine harness, injector harness for the engine, Series 3. A lot of you punters said, why don't you just make one? Well, I could have, but time restraints. anyone sees my schedule knows that this would have been way down the list in priorities, and I really want to get that V12 nice and reliable. So we got it from Barrett. It wasn't cheap, but I did a bit of searching around, and Barrett had the best price with a lot of them. So doesn't that look pretty snazzy? And that'll be easy to fit. So let's whack that in and give it a run, see how the car goes. Out with the old. Yeah. Yeah, the more I look at it, I probably could have made it and should have made it for about 1/zillionth of the price. Yeah, so it's just 4 different circuits, I think, of banks of 3 or the other way around. But the old one, I can still keep a lot of those clips. They'll come in handy for other stuff. Okay, news in. I might get some heat shield and put around the main cable, because it's only just been taped up with insulation tape. It looks a bit tacky really for a $700 bloody wiring harness. Anyway, we'll put that in. We'll just see if it starts, and I'll just tidy it up there with some cable ties. It's all above the valley now, so it's not going to get too hot down there. No, she's not running right. She's not running on all cylinders. I have to go and check those plugs again. Yeah, 5A didn't click in real good, so let's try it again. Oh, that's 12 cylinders. She's still super cold. It hasn't been going for about a week. Been sitting here while I've been up the coast. Now let's just take it around the block. And I also fixed the my little hazard flashes. Fixed the little, it was just broken clips inside. A couple of cable ties fixed that. This thing out since it broke down on me a couple of weeks ago. I'm too nervous. Plus I didn't have those flashes going, and I was in such a predicament down there, but that's all over and done with. We've got the new injector harness now, and I'm pretty about 99.99999% sure it was the injector harness that was playing up. But this run will tell. Seems to be running a little bit smoother. This is my imagination. She's I've been in this thing, truly. It's been barn fine to what I call a beauty now, and there's still work to do on it. There's no question, you can just keep going. It's like the harbour bridge. You start at one end and have to go back and start again. He's pretty happy. Uh-oh, stop sign, emergency stop. Here, more road work. I don't know what's going on here. The next job is all the fluids, coolants, oils, gearbox, diff oil. The brakes are done. Whatever is in there. Just whack it back first. Should have it first. Square up this hill. Gears change real quick in manual mode. Good. We might even take this thing up to Newcastle for a display day next week. Don't know yet. Climate control will need work a little bit, but that's not big cost. It's more just me working out what's wrong with it. I think the amplifier's working okay. I'm just not getting full blown air through those upper vents. So either the gearbox is funny or the linkages have just dried up. A bit complicated, that stuff. And you learn it one day and forget it the next. That's the biggest problem. And then you go back a year's time and say, well, I fixed one of them 12 months ago. But I can't remember how I fixed it. I'm going to buy some new H4 headlights for it. Because the left one is a little bit rusty on the centre little bubble bit. Not too bad. I guess it is 30-something years old. Seats are feeling pretty good. Happy they're done. Stuffed up by some on that. Headlining's done. Not very little to do with that motor now because we went through it big time when we were trying to get this thing going properly. A lot of things were replaced there. So we'll add it all up and see what it owes us so far and how much more I have to spend on it. I've added up in my head a little bit, we're not too bad. It's whether or not I have overcapitalised on it, maybe, maybe not, depends on the market, how much it's selling for. They broad price range, these V12 Series 3s, big broad ones. A Daimler 66 sold for $35,000 the other day. Mind you, it was beautiful. That was the car that I did a walk around when we were in Brisbane. And another gorgeous one up in the Southern Highlands. It's been for sale for ages. I don't think they just sold it, but it was rather cheap. $12,000 they hadn't sold it. But, well, I haven't had a look at it. It looked a pretty nice car in the photos. I'm just driving this thing around the block just a few times because I just want to make sure that temperature stays solid. Might as well do an oil change and filter on her. I haven't got the luxury of my 4 posters. We're just doing it with the Jackson crawling underneath it, but we should be able to do it pretty easy. I thought all to burn the shit out of me. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Woo. Yuck. Easy over 8 years old, that oil. This is the fulfilling bit, excuse the pun, and it's not going to be easy because I don't have a big enough funnel to go in there, so it's going to be a slow process. Shit, spilled it already. Well, that was a bit smarter. Screws straight in, it's just an old orange bottle. Saw a bloke on YouTube do that, and that'll be nice and easy to pour without making any mess. Well, the pan was clean inside it. There's not too much yucky stuff that was sitting in the bottom of that sump. I'm happy with that. My favourite part. Oh. Oh. Yeah, happy that's done. 21 grand. Well, that's a little bit more than I was anticipating to spend on it 13 months ago when I bought it. However, I wouldn't have dumped all that money into it if I thought it was a bodgy car from the word go. You can tell it was going to come up pretty schmick, and even though there was a few hidden surprises on it, though it wasn't too much. If the motor was shit, I would have got rid of it. If I had hidden rust or had lots of bog in it, I would have just dumped it as well. But we continued with it. It was great doing the videos with it. Now I've got a really lovely V12, and I know that car backwards because I've done so much freaking work on it. So if you like the video, guys, just give it the thumbs up, and if you haven't subscribed, do that. And please leave a comment. I love hearing from you guys, and we'll catch you next one. See ya. It's only 4 circuits, 4. See how we go. I'm hoping it's going to run a little bit smoother. Well, that didn't work.